Hello, everyone. Welcome. Let's make a start now. So welcome to this information session on our financial modeling instructor-led training course. So thanks very much for your time today. Really appreciate it. A couple of housekeeping things before we start. So this session is being recorded. If you have questions, then you'll find that you're on mute, but please do use the chat function. So I'll be monitoring that chat function throughout this session. And I'll raise questions to our instructor, Ian. Equally, he might from time to time glance at it too. He'll probably be posing questions of you, and that chat function is a great way to interact. So my name is Richard Fernand, and I'm responsible for new product development at CFA Institute Professional Learning Team. And I'm really delighted actually that you have joined us today because you're going to start something quite exciting. For many years, we've been known for the CFA program, and as you probably know, it's a fantastic way of getting a grounding in how financial markets work and in things like financial analysis, and how you can then think about applying that, to your day-to-day work, how you might apply it to a corporate analysis, how you might make decision making in an investment context. But the thing that's been lacking is how you actually make the link from what's in that CFA syllabus to your day-to-day work. And a key tool that everyone, of course, uses is Excel. So what we're looking to do is to provide you with that ability to actually now understand and put into practice all those financial modeling and analysis techniques that you might have learned in the CFA program, but how to do it in real life using the tool that you will use, which is Excel. Now, we're delighted to be partnering with Ian Schnorr, who from a training company called Marquee. Ian's someone who I've known for a long time.
Hi.
And if you could go on mute, if you have a bit of background noise, that would be great. So Ian's someone who I've known for a long time, and he is a real expert in financial markets training, so a wealth of experience. He's the founder and CEO of the Marquee Group, and we selected Marquee Group as being our delivery partner for this for several reasons. They have a huge amount of real markets knowledge. They have a great ability to turn the kind of the theoretical into the practical, but also Ian and his colleagues have a really engaging method of teaching, which you'll have a chance to experience some of today. So with that in mind, I just want to thank you in advance for your time. I'll turn it over to Ian, and I'll see you again at the end of the session.
Outstanding, Richard. Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here with such a great large group. We're pushing almost 200 people in this webinar, so that's fantastic. I'm thrilled to see all of you. I'm going to share my screen for 1 second just so I can get set up. You can see that now. And I am going to be, as Richard said, I'm opening my chat box as well because I want to see if you put any comments in it as we go for the next little bit. I've also got a list. If you ever see me looking over to my right like this, I'm looking at all of you. I've got a giant list on a screen of all of your names. And I like to keep the session interactive. So I'm going to ask some questions. First of all, before I introduce myself, can you let me know just if you can hear okay, if you're ready to go? Give me a thumbs up. I can see it on the side. I just want to make sure everyone is ready and comfortable and ready to go here. Fantastic. Excellent. Great. Lots of thumbs. Lots in the chat. Amazing. Fantastic. Hear me perfectly. Fantastic. You know what else I would love to hear as well, just as we get started, before I tell you where I am. I would love to know where you are. This is obviously a global audience. I know people are coming from all over the place. Type it in. Amazing. Brazil. Wow. Incredible. India. Look at that. I love it. It feels so global. New York City. It's going so fast. I can't even read it. Look at that. Amazing. Wow. Mauritius. Incredible. You guys can see this as well. This is really impressive that we have such. Saudi Arabia. Incredible. Peru. I love it. Pakistan. I was in Pakistan a couple years ago running a course for CFA Society of Pakistan. So maybe met some of your colleagues. Wow. I love it. The list is still going. Fantastic. I'm going to ask you to keep sharing with me as we go. We might be covering a good chunk of the world here. This is really impressive. Why this is partly impressive is because modeling is so global. It is ubiquitous. It is global. And what I'm here today to share with you is an introduction to what the course is all about. So first of all, my name is Ian Schnorr. As Richard said, I'm going to be with you today for this webinar, and I will also be the instructor, as sort of more as a coincidence will have it. I will be the instructor for the first session that the CFA Institute will be leading, a virtual session, which is going to be late August. The dates are towards the end, but we are going to be doing a 3 kind of half-day program. So today is all about introducing you to what we're going to cover, what we're going to do, but I'm also going to share with you a few tips. So stick around until the end today, because I'm going to show you a couple of really great modeling tips at the end of this webinar that I think you're really going to enjoy. So hopefully you can stick around for that. You know, as for timing, you can see my clock here. I am in Eastern time zone. I'm in Toronto. I'm in Toronto, Canada. So it is noon for me, just after noon. We're going to formally go till 12:45, call it 12:45 or a little after that. I'm going to go about 45 minutes and leave around 10 or 15 minutes for questions. And then I think we will get kicked off at 1 o'clock Eastern time. So that is kind of a little bit about our timing wise. So I got some formal remarks and I want to talk to you about a bunch of ideas until around 12:45. Who am I? Well, as I said, I'm in Toronto. My background is that I started my career over 20 years ago as an investment banker. I worked at a bank called BMO Capital Markets, and then I worked at Citibank for a couple of years. And I spent most of my time in banking doing traditional M&A work, cross-border financing work. I spent a lot of time modeling and thinking about models, always curious to push the envelope on models and how to build best-in-class models that really worked really very well. 20 years ago, I can't believe it, time has flown, but literally 20 years ago, we're just celebrating our 20th anniversary. I started this business called the Marquee Group to lead financial training and to deliver financial modeling training. And I have had the luxury and the tremendous opportunity to teach financial modeling literally all over the world over the past 20 years, all throughout the Middle East. And I mentioned in Pakistan, all throughout Canada, the US, in Europe, in the UK, a fair bit, in Mexico. Have not been to South America or Brazil for those of you, but I'll have to try and get there. And we run a lot of training courses for banks. We do a lot of internal work for groups in equity research, in credit, in investment banking, in risk. But we also have done a lot of training, and Richard didn't mention this, for CFA societies, and that's been a lot of fun. I've got a chance to meet CFA candidates and charter holders all over the world because of the training we do through a number of societies. And I am really thrilled and excited that the CFA Institute has decided to offer some training and chosen to partner with us. I have my CFA charter holder, very proud of that, and looking forward to working with many of you if you join the training. In addition to my work at the Marquee Group for the past 20 years, I'm also the executive director and was involved in founding the Financial Modeling Institute that you can take a look at. And I also teach, I'm an instructor at Queen's University, one of the large universities here just outside of Toronto. So that's a little bit about my background. You're welcome to email me if you have questions. Follow me on LinkedIn. I actually started posting a video series on LinkedIn on the top 10 reasons that balance sheets don't balance. So that's just gotten started. You're welcome to watch some of those videos if you want to check out my LinkedIn page. Suffice it to say, the last 20 years or more for me has been focused on financial modeling and really trying to really push the envelope around the discipline. So what I want to do with you today is so 3 goals for today's session here. And I've got a notes file, so you're welcome to take some notes or just watch what I'm doing. But in this very, very short webinar today, I want to talk a little bit about modeling discipline and why it's so important. For around 10 minutes, I want to talk around modeling discipline, because what I talk about in this short webinar is going to infuse everything that I do with you over the three-day or the 3 half-day program, which is in August. I want to share with you what we're going to be learning. I want to talk about learning outcomes in the course. I want you to understand exactly what we're going to do and what we're going to be talking about in terms of skill development in the program. And then finally, as I said, I want to leave and share with you even today with a couple of really great tips that you can put to work right away at your desks. Okay, so hopefully that sounds good. I'm going to try and move very quickly, but that is what I'm going to cover. So in terms of these slides here, right, just a couple slides here to look at. I told you a little bit about the Marquee Group, which is, the business that I founded 20 years ago. Our entire DNA is around excellence in data analytics, in modeling. We also, though, get involved in data science, some data science work, but really a foundation of what we do is best in class financial models, helping professionals either learn the skills so that they can become world-class financial modelers. And I like to ask a question. It's first of all, I want to ask how many of you, I'm looking over at all of you right now. So do me a favor, raise your, look at that. We've already cracked 200 people. Incredible. Do me a favor, either go to the chat or raise your hand if you have built some financial models. If you've got some experience in, I'd love to see how many of you have some experience with some financial modeling. Okay, great. A bunch of you have. I got to tell you, I think I've taught, I was doing a back of the envelope calculation. I think I've probably taught 25 or 30,000 people over the past 20 years, financial modeling. And most courses that I teach, there's a wide range. Some people are really beginners and other people are quite experienced. And that would work for this course as well. Yeah, Emmanuel, I can see you're beginners, just a newbie, excellent. But some of you have done some modeling, great. For those of you who join the course, if you've done some modeling, I will always try and push the envelope and let you look at some advanced topics and advanced ideas to kind of make sure that you improve and build on your skills. But I always like to ask, what is a financial model? My favorite question to ask is, what is a model? Because you've heard the term. In fact, I gotta tell you, the term financial modeling has become so much more mainstream. When I started my career 20 years ago or 25 years ago, nobody expected that I had modeling skills. You learned it on the job. But nowadays, a lot of banks and companies will put right on their job postings. They'll say things like, we're looking for a CFA charter holder, maybe an accountant, but we also want to hire people with strong financial modeling skills. In fact, I'm going to look over. Can you raise your thumb? Has anybody ever seen a job posting that specifically said, we are looking for people who have strong financial modeling skills, right? Mustafa, you've seen that? Yes, you said yes. Excellent. Who else has seen that, right? Yeah. Oh, look at all the, yeah. Wow, a lot. Abdul, you've said a lot. Look at all. Yes, 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 yes. Look at all these yeses. People are saying, yes, you have seen that. Almost all, almost all of them. So can I tell you something, guys? Look at all these hands going up as well. Can I tell you something? That is brand new. It's new that people are asking for modeling skills. Now, when I say new, I mean the last 5 to 10 years. In the last 5 to 10 years, banks and other, pension funds, private equity funds are looking for people with strong modeling skills. That never used to happen more than 10 years ago. Even 10 years ago, it really didn't happen. You never saw that. But now recruiters want that because it's an absolutely critical discipline. It's a critical skill. So I want to talk a little bit about what this is, what it means, and what we're going to do in the course. So first of all, when I say what is a financial model, I'd love to kind of get your feedback in the course. When we actually do the course, for those of you who come, I'll get some feedback. I'll listen. I'll hear what some of you have to say, because there's different ways you can think about modeling. But for today's discussion, very, very simply, when someone asks me what's a financial model, very simply, I like to say it is simply a forecast. That's it. All we're trying to do is forecast, usually a company, could be a project as well, but we're trying to forecast a company's financial statements into the future. That's it. By the way, guys, go into the chat. How far into the future are we typically forecasting? What's normal? I mean, there's no perfect answer, but what have you seen before? What's sort of a normal, Mustafa, 5 years, 5, 5, 5. 5's pretty common, 10, 5, 5, 5, 10, 3. I love it. So many people, I can't even read it. 5 years. Yeah, I would say, I like that, Andre, financial cycle, sure. What I would say is that 5 to 10 is most common, but there are some models that are shorter. 5 to 10 is common. Some are longer, some are shorter. Exactly, Yasser, depends on the industry. Some industries like mining or infrastructure will go longer, 20, even 30 years. Has anyone seen a really long forecast? What's the longest forecast you've ever seen in a model? I like looking at the chat here. So what's the 20 years, 2020? Yeah, 15, 50, very nice. Can I tell you something funny? A couple of years ago, we were working 30 years. A couple of years ago, we were working with a large industrial chemicals company, a fertilizer business, a multi-billion-dollar fertilizer business. And they needed help with one of their models. And they showed it to me. And I discovered that they forecasted 120 years, 120 years. And so I looked at them and I said, really? Do you really need to forecast 120 years? You're all going to be dead by then. But they said, yeah, that's pretty silly, isn't it? So they cut it down to 60. Still a little long, if you ask me, but whatever. There's no right answer. The point, yeah, 120. It was 120-year forecast, which was a little silly, but whatever. 5 to 10 is most common. But again, the point is, all we're doing is forecasting. So my question then is forecast. So really, when we talk about building a financial model, we're simply trying to talk about building a forecast of a company's financial statements. That's it. And that skill is absolutely critical these days. So the question is why? Why is it that modeling and forecasting is so critical? Well, I'll tell you my view. I'll tell you it's because models have become easily the most important decision-making tools in all finance. In all of finance, financial models have become the most important decision-making tools. The most critical decisions that we make in our jobs in finance and accounting, to be honest, but when we're thinking about the future, come down to financial models. So help me out here. This is going to go fast. I'm going to have to read carefully. What types of decisions, guys? What types of decisions are people making on the backs of their financial models? What types of decisions, right? I'm watching, what types of decisions are we basing on financial models? Someone said here, we need buying companies. We need to know if it's profitable. Sure. So investment decisions. Ooh, investment decision, capital. Look at all this great stuff on the chat. Investment decisions, absolutely. M&A decisions. We need models for that. Capital, I love it. Capital structure. Credit decisions, right? Can a company support? We do a lot of work with credit groups. Can a company support more debt? Will they trip their covenants? Will they be in any violation? How is that going to work? For sure. Looking at, again, financing, I'm looking at all the things you put down. Project decisions, for sure. I will also add, we build models to evaluate risk or volatility. We look at models to understand. We are in a crazy time, guys. Well, for many, many reasons, but we are experiencing the highest inflationary in much of the world anyway. We're experiencing extreme, high levels of inflation that we haven't seen in decades. So what does the future look like of this business under high inflation, under low inflation? We need to look. Sure. I'm going to say project analysis, of course. Great. I love all your comments, guys. Asset management. Great comments. Expansion, for sure. All sorts. And you can see from this list, this means that anybody who works in investments, buy side, sell side, investing in companies, credit, private equity, venture capital, banking is requiring and involved in models. And so as a result here, look, I've got an interesting red line appeared on the screen. Interesting. I didn't do that. Sometimes Zoom gives the participants a chance to do some writing. So hope you guys enjoy that. But these are all the types of critical decisions that we are building and making with our financial models. And so we need to make sure we have tremendous skills. Now, there's a problem. So you can see asset allocation. Excellent. I'm going to add that to the list, actually. So we have some asset allocation for sure. So I think, as you would agree with me, so many decisions that we're building in models, and decisions we're making are on the backs of financial models. Well, that's awesome, but there's a problem. There's a problem, and that's why we're here. That's why recruiters are looking for strong modelers, and that's why there's such a demand for modeling skills these days. The problem is that many financial models that exist in the world today, many financial models are a mess. People's financial models are a disaster. They don't work very well. People struggle with their models. And as a result, when your models are problematic, when your models don't work, it's very difficult to make optimal financial decisions. So in our course, we are going to talk about how to build, right? In the course, we're going to talk about how to build a beautiful, this is not a word you hear very often. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about in a moment. A beautiful, dynamic financial model. That's the goal. I'm going to show you how to design, structure, organize a best-in-class financial model so that you create tremendous confidence for your clients, for your team, for your boss. Now, I want to give you, I'm going to get to the punchline here very quickly and then I'm going to show you a model. Okay. Yeah. I see a lot of great comments coming through on the chat as well. I won't have a chance to respond to all of them, but I love your engagement and I love all the commentary you guys are putting in. One of the key takeaways from the course will be one of the key things I want everyone to think about who attends the course is this, is that a good model, a good financial model. So first of all, now you know what a model is. It's just a forecast of a company's financial statements. You know why we're building models. And now you know that I've told you that we've got a problem. The problem is that a lot of models really don't work very well and they're difficult to use. A good model needs to work in only two different ways. Every good financial model you ever build has to work in two different ways. And if it does, it's probably a good model. If it doesn't, it can be improved. Here's number one. Number one, I will tell you guys that a good financial model needs to work electronically. And what I mean by that is that every formula must make sense. Every single formula must make sense. So for instance, guys, let's pretend you were my boss. Okay. Let's pretend you were my boss and you asked me to build a model and I built it and I emailed it to you. If you open up my model and you start to go to the different cells, you should realize, okay, this makes sense. I understand what Ian's doing. Every single formula is clear, simple, and makes sense. And that doesn't happen all the time. Guys, I'm going to look over at you right now. Has anybody here ever clicked in a spreadsheet and seen a formula that was so long that it wrapped around and around and around? Have you ever seen, if I'm looking over, has anyone ever seen, yeah, Mustafa, anyone else ever seen raise your thumb or your hand. Yeah. If you've ever seen huge formulas that wrapped around and around and around, because every day, you said every day. No, I'm not talking circular references. That's a whole different can of worms. Circular references, we'll try to touch that a little bit. It's a little bit more advanced, but the question is, have you ever seen huge, long formulas that go wrap around and around? And many of you said you have. I will tell you right now, it's not optimal. And the next time someone shows one to you, I would encourage them and help them to make it simpler. Why is it not optimal? Because it's easier to make mistakes. Because your boss isn't going to understand it. Your client is definitely not going to understand it. I agree with you, right? Is it Chang? Formula must be simple and straightforward. Do you see the comment? I agree with you. Formulas must be simple and straightforward, but they're not. In so many models, they are not. They're a disaster. And as a result, it makes it hard for people to use. I'm going to show you a sample model that we're going to look at building in the course. And I'll show you what I mean by simple, clean, simple formulas. The second way that a good model, by the way, the second way that a good financial model has to work, by the way, guys, is even in today's day and age, I would tell you that a good model has to work on paper or as a PDF. A good financial model must be a tool that works as a nice paper-based document. Why is that? It's because decision makers still want to make a decision by looking at something on paper or as a PDF. It's very unusual to make a major investment decision by opening up a big spreadsheet and everyone is looking at the spreadsheet and playing with it. That doesn't usually work that way. We need to make sure that a model works nicely on paper. What am I really telling you? What am I really telling you this? I see a lot of hands going up. Fantastic. I hope that means seeing a lot of hands. I hope that means that you agree. You need to make sure that your model communicates. So what I'm really saying is that a model needs to be a powerful communication tool. A model has to be a communication tool. A model needs to tell a story. Do you know what the most important job is of a good model builder? You might be surprised by what I say. You know, if I asked you what's one of the most important jobs of a financial modeler, yes, a good modeler has to be good at Excel and understand accounting and understand finance. But I would say, yeah, look at that, Andre. I love it. Have you been to one of my sessions? A good model, maybe you see where I was going. A good model builder needs to know how to tell a story, because you need to communicate your ideas to your client, to your boss, to a prospective client, and you need to win their confidence. You need to communicate clearly to have people be comfortable with what you're telling them. And that doesn't happen in most models. So in our course, we're going to look at how do you do that? How do you build a best-in-class model? I got to tell you, I know that, has anyone heard, I'm sure many of you heard of a famous finance, yeah, how do you pitch your idea? Has everyone heard, or many of you heard of a professor of finance, and he's very involved in the CFA Institute, Aswath Damodaran, or some people call him Damodaran. I met him once at a conference. He's famous finance professor. He teaches at NYU, New York University. He's a very powerful speaker. He's a great speaker if you've heard of him. Well, I've been watching him and read a lot of his stuff. He's got a great newsletter that he puts out monthly that's free. You're welcome to subscribe to it. And I watched a video of him once, and he's been teaching finance for 30 or 40 years, a long time. He said, I watched a video one time where he said it took him 10 or 20 years to realize that finance is not just about numbers. He said he really thought when he became a finance prof that you'd get everything you needed with the numbers. It took him a long time to discover that finance is only half numbers, and the other half is your ability to tell a story, to create a narrative. And that's what the model is the best tool available to create a powerful narrative. Can I spell his name again? Can someone type it into the chat for me? I'm going to spell it wrong for sure. There we go. Thank you. So you look him up, you can get if he gets a spike in his newsletter subscription today, he may wonder why. I don't even get a cut. Anyway, it is, and I just tell you that because it's so critical to tell a story. So I told you I want to talk about model discipline. If you look at my screen here, modeling is a great discipline. It's a fun discipline because to be good at modeling, you need to have a lot of different skills. And in our course, we're going to review a lot of things. I'm going to show you some really great Excel skills to build powerful models. I'm going to talk a lot in the course about design. The number one reason why models fail is because they are poorly designed. And so I'm going to help you understand optimal model design. And in a moment, I'm going to show you a model and I'll talk about design. You have to have good accounting skills. Are there any accountants in the room? Has anyone studied accounting or do we have any accountants in the room? Yeah, Mustafa, yes. Who else is an accountant? Okay, a few of you, great. You don't have to be an accountant. I am not an accountant. I told you I've got my CFA charter. I'm a CFA charter holder, right? You can see it right here on my wall. That's my CFA diploma. I actually teach accounting. I teach accounting. I'm not a professional accountant, but you need to understand accounting so you can create financial statements. You have to understand finance. You have to understand business. And these are the things that we need to understand to build strong models. So what I want to do now is I want to show you a model quickly. This is going to be very much like the model we are going to exactly, right? Mana said you need to know a lot about accounting because what we're doing is we're forecasting a company's financial statements. I have to understand how a various cost item might hit the income statement, flow through the cash flow. Where does it touch the balance sheet? I need to be able to visualize that and build that in the model. So it's very, very important. So here's an example of a financial model. This is a sample. This is of a model that we might build during the course. This is a company called Precision Moldings, and it's a very, this is approximately 15 pages long. But you know what? Before I show this to you, before I show you this model in Excel, this is the Excel file. And by the way, anyone who comes to the course is going to get all the worksheet files and all the completed files and instruction and step-by-step guides in terms of how to build it up one step at a time. But before I show you this model in Excel, I actually want to show you this model as a PDF. I want to show you what would happen if I printed it on paper. So you can see it's actually 16 pages long, this model, and I want to show you what it looks like. Again, I'm not going to go, I want to go through it very, very quickly, but I want you to see that if you're going to build a best-in-class model, you need to be able to easily print it and create confidence that way. So there's a very simple cover page. There's an executive summary. Why? Because we always need a nice executive summary in our models. I saw someone mention earlier that we need to have assumptions. So in this model, I've got all the assumptions up front. I'm gonna teach you how to design assumptions, how to think about the assumptions, how to create the assumption page. There's another page of assumptions here. I'm going to show you how to build one of the most powerful pages in a model that every model needs, and that's a scenarios page. How do you build a powerful scenario page so you can play with different cases around inflation and exchange rates? And we'll look at how do you design and build that really effectively. And then we will look at step by step how to build things like a company's revenues and their costs. And look at this income. This is the income statement. And I'll go down to the cash flow statement and then the balance sheet. And all of these pages we're going to design and build during the course. Now, why am I showing this to you as a PDF? Because what I hope you feel, obviously you can't read any of the numbers, but what I hope you're feeling right now, as I go from the income statement to the cash flow to the balance sheet, I hope you feel like it's nicely designed. I hope you feel like it is organized and very deliberate. Maybe you'll notice that I have the company name and a sheet name on every page. Maybe you notice that there's an equal amount of space on the sides. I have page numbers. I have had people come to me and say, Ian, did you build this thing in PowerPoint? Of course not. This comes right out of Excel. But my point is, it's got to be a beautiful presentation tool so you can present it so someone creates a lot of confidence when they review it. And we're going to look at how to do this step by step during the program. And so this is what it should look like and feel like as a PDF, or of course, if this was on paper, I would print it like this and I would staple it. But what I want to show you now, and this is what we're going to build up in the course, but what I want to show you is what does it look like on the screen? Because I mentioned earlier that we want to keep things very, very simple. In the slides here, I also have a slide on some best practices, on some tips. These are some of the tips and best practices that we're going to review in the course. I'll be talking about how do you properly plan and get the right data in? How do you keep assumptions up front? Things like that. But I want to talk about that one of the things in a model is to use a manageable number of worksheets. One of the reasons why models become unusable is when there are too many worksheets in the file, or tabs, too many tabs. So look at my model in Excel. In my model, I have a cover tab. The executive summary is on its own tab. The assumptions are on their own tab. Here they are. All the assumptions are on a sheet called assumptions. I've got my scenarios, and then everything else lives on a sheet called model. Does everyone see that? My revenues. Underneath it are the costs. We'll look at how to build them up step by step. Underneath it is the income statement. Underneath the income statement is the cash flow. Now I've got an important question for you. I've got a question for you. Has anybody ever seen a forecast where every financial statement was on its own separate tab? Have you ever seen a model where there was an income statement tab, and then there was a cash flow statement tab, and then there was a balance sheet tab? Has anyone seen that before? Yes. Look at all these yeses. Raise your thumb or hand. Yeah, you've seen that before many times. Let me be very clear. That's not wrong. It's not wrong to do that. I like that real time, Dylan. You're looking at one right now. And Dung, you're saying you made one like that. Let me be very clear, Dung. It's not wrong. It's not wrong to do that. I would say, though, that it's maybe not optimal. It can be very helpful to build a model vertically. Why? Because the financial statements talk to each other, but people don't think about this. People like to have everything on separate sheets. The reason people like to put things on separate sheets is because they feel like they can see it. They can see something more easily if it's on a separate sheet. What's the problem? What's the problem when you end up with 20 or 30 or 40 different sheets in an Excel file? What happens to your model when there's 20, 30, 40 different sheets in the file? I'm sure you're thinking that. It gets very hard to find things. The formulas get very long. It gets really hard to find things. The formulas are hard to audit. Yeah, maybe it crashes. Models become very problematic. Models become very problematic when there are too many sheets. Guys, look at this. You know this as well as I do. Financial statements always talk to each other, right? Look at this. Revenues on the income statement, it always starts with revenue. But the income statement always ends with net income, right? Agreed. Income statement always, and I agree with you. I like that, Khalid. You said connecting them is much harder. Khalid, look at this. Look at how simple it is to connect when you stay vertical. My income statement ends with net income, and watch, the cash flow statement always begins with net income. Well, where is it? It's right there. The model becomes like a waterfall, and it works its way down the page in a really elegant, beautiful way. It works its way simple down the sheet. I don't have to jump back and forth. My cash flow statement, right? Cash flow statements start with operating activities and they end with the ending cash, of course. Well, if it ends with ending cash, then I have my balance sheet. My balance sheet always starts with cash. And where does the cash come from? Right off the cash flow statement. It's very simple, it's very elegant, and it works really nicely. So we'll talk a lot about design and structure when we get into the program, but we are going to look at how to build all the pieces of a strong model, from the upfront summary, the assumptions, the scenarios. We're going to look at how to properly build revenues. And how do you properly build, let me go down. How do you properly think about operating costs for a company? We're going to look at how do you do the financial statements. And then we are going to look at how do you build all the line items that feed into the financial statements, like depreciation, like income tax, like debt, like equity. We'll talk about modeling capital structure. We'll talk about modeling working capital, all the critical components we'll talk about so you can build a best-in-class model. But I want to now move in because I've got about 7 or 8 minutes left, maybe 10. And I told you that what I wanted to do, if you recall back, I told you I wanted to, because you're here and I appreciate you all being here, I wanted to leave you with 3 things. I wanted to talk about the discipline of modeling, which we did. I wanted to share with you the learning outcomes, which we just did. We are going to learn how to design, structure, build, and create a best-in-class model that's not just about accounting, but that's a beautiful, elegant presentation tool. That's what we're going to do. I want to finish this short webinar then with 2 great tips that I think you're going to like. And these are the types of tips that I show people during the course as well. So the first tip I want to show you has to do with model navigation. Let me go down the bottom here. I'd like you to note this, jot this down. Tips. I'm going to show you a couple great tips that I think you will enjoy. And the first one is around model navigation, and I'll tell you why. Whenever people build a model vertically, like I just did here, can you see it? It's very easy to link. You're going to minimize errors, but it gets very tall. People sometimes say to me, yeah, Ian, I'm scared to model this way because my model is now very, very tall. And I'm afraid it's going to be hard to find something. Maybe that thing is in row 500. I agree with you. The model will get very tall. But that's okay, because I'm going to show you an amazing navigation tool that allows you to navigate your tall model very, very well. And watch this. This is an extremely powerful tip. I'm not even going to tell you what it's called. All I want to tell you is the keyboard shortcut so that you can remember it forever. Now, by the way, this is only going to work on PCs. So my apologies to Mac users. I like Macs, but you can work much, much faster on a PC. The keyboard shortcut that I want to show you is called the Alt-VV navigation tool. I love showing this tip because people usually have not seen it. It's called the Alt-VV navigation tool. Let's do it, please. I'm going to go to my model. I'm going to put my cursor at the very top, and I'm going to type in Alt-VV. It opens up this menu called Custom Views. This feature actually does live in a Mac. You just can't access it with the keyboard. So Alt-VV opened up a custom views menu. I'm going to click add. Watch this, guys. I'll click add, and I'm going to type in 1 revenue schedule. That's it. I just typed it in. Done. Let me do one more. I'll do another one. 2 more. Let me go to my cost schedule. Look what I'm doing. I'm going to put my cursor in the cost schedule and type in Alt-VV. Now, the first one is here. I will add the second one. The second one is called cost schedule. Let me do one more for you. I'm going to go to my income statement and type in Alt-VV one more time, and I will click add, and I'll type in 3 income statement, and I'll press enter. Done. That's it. Look at the beauty of this feature. Let's imagine I was building up the shareholders' equity, and I'm way, way down here in row 500, whatever. I'm way at the bottom, and I want to quickly go and see my income statement. Look what I need to do. It's so simple. Alt-VV, I'm going to press on income statement, click enter, and boom, it takes me right there. It's so fast, it's so effective, and it's so quick to move around a model. Look what you can even do. I don't even have to be on that sheet. Imagine you were on the cover sheet and you want to quickly go see the revenue schedule, the revenue calculation. You say Alt VV, you click on revenue and then press enter and boom, it takes you right there. Who's going to try this? This is such an important navigation tool in Excel. I'm curious to know who's going to raise your hands if you'll try this. Yeah, good. A lot of hands are going up. I really hope that you do. Good. Give it a shot. I think you'll find it's a very, very, yeah, it's amazing, right? Awesome. Some night, okay. A lot of comments come in. Fantastic. You're going to use it. Definitely. I love it. Try it. You need to know. And by the way, if you show this to your colleagues, they'll be super impressed. Santiago has a great question. Whoa, so many of you commented. I got to see Santiago's. Santiago said, what if I just type an X in an empty corner and I go up and down? Sure. That's why we leave this column blank. Santiago saying you could, this is what I call the old fashioned way. It's a very, rudimentary way to do the same thing, right? Santiago put an X there, and then I can go to my cost schedule and I can put an X here, and I can go to the income statement and I can put an X here. Sure, I can do that, but I now have to go down one at a time. I'm going to go down one and down one. I got to hop down. You can do it. It also doesn't work if I'm on the cover, right? Santiago, try the Alt VV, because if I go Alt VV, I can go anywhere. I don't have to worry about going one step at a time. People seem to love the Alt VV, but listen, I have no problem with putting X's as markers. Do that as well. I just find that most people have never seen Alt VV. So look, I'm getting a lot of comments here. Amazing. Love it. For the Mac, you need to find the custom views menu. You can't use Alt VV. I like the comments. You need to go to I think it's under View Custom Views. Okay. I'm going to show you one more thing here. I want to make sure that Richard doesn't pull out the hook and pull me off stage. So I want to show you one more great tip here. Does it have to reference an empty cell? No, Thomas, it does not. It can reference any cell you want. It's your marker. That's where it will take you when you go Alt VV. Give it a shot. If it doesn't work, send me a note on LinkedIn or send me an email. It's easy to find me, right? If you go to my, again, if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, as I said, I've got a video series. I got a lot of stuff on my LinkedIn page, and you can stay in touch with me that way as well. Let me show you one last tip. During the course, we're going to talk about the fact that it's really important to keep the assumptions in a model up front. So you notice here in my model, I have an assumption page and all my assumptions are up front. Okay. Not everyone does this. Why do we do it? Why do I keep the assumptions up front? Because it allows you to communicate your model. Guys, look at this. Let me go back into the PDF. In the PDF, I've got the cover. Then I'm going to show my client the executive summary, and then I will show them all my decisions, all my assumptions that I used to build the model. It allows you to communicate, but not everyone does this. Has anybody here, I'm looking at you now, has anyone here ever seen a financial model where the assumptions were scattered all over the place? Raise your hand if you've ever seen a model where the assumptions were scattered all over in row 800, in row 5,000, in this sheet, in that sheet. Have you ever seen models where the inputs were all over the place? Sure. Yeah. A lot of people, you will, if you work with enough models, you will. It's not optimal, but you will. But here's why people sometimes do that. The reason people sometimes put their assumptions everywhere is because they want to do this. Guys, take a look at this for a second. Let me go to my income statement. Can you guys see on my income statement, I have a forecast for revenue. And in the course, we'll learn what that means. I've got a forecast for earnings, for EBITDA, and I've got a forecast for net income. It's all here, right? I've got some forecasts. However, if I change one of my costs, does everyone see that the raw material cost has been assumed at 226? What if my client says, Ian, use 250? So I'm going to change it to 250. Do you see what I just did? I changed one of the input costs. Okay, great. And by changing an input cost, what it means is that all my financial statements should have changed. My income statement changed. My earnings changed. My EBITDA changed. But I can't see it. I don't know what the new EBITDA number is. I don't know what the new net income number. How do I see what the EBITDA became? What I need to do is I have to go there again. Watch this. I'm going to use my mouse. I'm going to go there. I'm going to click and I'm going to see what is EBITDA. Oh, there it is. Right? Or I can use my keyboard. What is the EBITDA? EBITDA went down. And let's see, the net income went down. My point is, Every time I change an assumption, I need to go back to the model to see what happened. A lot of people don't like that. A lot of people want to change an assumption and they want to see what that's doing to their model right up front. So let me show you a great tip. This is going to take just a couple of minutes and then we will wrap up and I'll take some questions. I'll turn it back to Richard and we'll take some questions. So to keep the assumptions up front, but see the results change, I'm going to encourage you to use a really powerful feature in Excel. This works, by the way, on all spreadsheets. This is not just for models. Same thing with this. This is not just for models, but it's really great in financial models. If you want to keep your assumptions up front, but see the changes, use the formulas watch window. I'm going to show you how to use the formula watch window feature. It lives here, formulas, and then it's a button called watch window. With the keyboard, you're going to go Alt and then the letter M, Alt M, Alt M, and then the letter W. So let's watch how this works, guys. Alt M and then the letter W. Alt M W is going to be the keyboard shortcut to launch it. Let's take a look. So let's pretend I want to play with a bunch of my assumptions and I want to see what does that do to my NPV, to my earnings when I do. Watch this. I'll go to the formula, Alt M, and I'll go launch the watch window menu, which is W, and you get this box. It's called the watch window here. Look what it does. It says, hey, what do you want to watch? I'm going to click add watch. Do you see that? I'm going to say add watch. It says, where should I go? I'm going to click on my model sheet and I'm going to go to my income statement and I'm going to click the first 3 years of EBITDA. You see that? I just highlighted 3 years of EBITDA and I'm going to click add. That's it. Let me do one more for you. Let me add another watch and I will go back to the model sheet and I will click on 3 years of net income. That's it. That's all I'm doing. And now I'm going to click add again and it's done. Take a look. People find this so powerful because now you can see I've got 3 years of EBITDA right here with me on my assumption page and 3 years of net income. And these numbers are live. So watch. If I ever go and I change an input, like I will change the raw material cost to be $250, keep your eyes on this box. When I press enter, take a look. Every single number changed. So I don't have to jump all over the model to see the results, right? Anna, I like that. Thank you. I'm glad you like that. It's so simple. It's so powerful. And it's an amazing way to make a change and see what that's doing deep, deep, deep later on in your model. And everywhere you go, the head explosion, Khalid, everywhere you go, is you're going to be, this box will go with you. So why did I show you that? I wanted you, for being in this webinar today, I wanted to leave you with 2 little tiny tips because I want you to understand that my belief around modeling is it's a tremendous discipline. Thank you. Modeling is a discipline. Modeling is not accounting. It's not finance. It's all of those things. And our job is not just to build a garbage forecast, but to build a beautiful, best-in-class, world-class tool that allows you to make optimal decisions and create tremendous confidence. And that's what I'm going to teach in the course coming up in a few weeks. So thank you all for being here. Again, follow me on LinkedIn if you want to see what's going on. Look forward to seeing many of you. And glad you could be here. Most of you are still around. That's amazing for this far into the webinar. So thank you for staying. Richard and your colleagues, thank you to the CFA Institute for having me in today. It's been a thrill to be here. Excited to work with you. And why don't we take some questions?
Ian, that's great. Thanks so much. I love that comment, Ian. You are awesome. That was that was very good, and I think entirely appropriate. Super helpful. I loved, at the start of the course, you're talking about models being beautiful. I think that's true. Yeah, they can be. They can be a real mess, but equally, if you get them right, they can be beautiful. I started my career in finance, in investment banking and M&A, and I didn't have any formal modeling training before starting the job. And I just had to pick up things from colleagues. And frankly, all my models started off as a mess. And I really wish I had something like this to help me. A lot of those little tips and tricks, like the 1-page model, for instance, that kind of stuff would have been enormously useful as I started off my career. So look, we've got a few questions to come through. I just want to cover perhaps a couple of points, and then we'll address some some questions. And actually, someone's asking, oh, how can I sign up for the course? It's an excellent question. Are you able to share, Ian, just that
Sure.
that sort of penultimate PowerPoint slide?
The
That'd be
slide?
super helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. You want me to go back to that slide again? This one
Yeah,
here?
that would
So
be great.
I also see it
Perfect.
by, if you just look at my, can you see my name, guys, in the Zoom? You should be able to see my name in the Zoom box. That's the name I use on LinkedIn. So if you just go Ian Schnur, you should find me on LinkedIn. You can go to our website. If you want to find me, you can go to our marquee website. And I'm very easy to find. I'm one of the easiest people to find on the internet. So it should not be difficult to find me, get my email or my LinkedIn.
Great. So let me address a few of the questions that come up in that chat box. So signing up for the course is super easy. We'll be sending around some details actually after this, but equally it's on CFP Institute webpage, and actually we'll also send around, there's QR code that you can scan, but you'll find it on our webpage. You can just search for CFP Institute financial modeling instructor-led training. It'll come straight up. A few kind of key points. This is beginner level. What we mean by beginner here is people who maybe are uncomfortable with how models really should work. You might have been doing modeling for a while, but you really haven't had that structure and you haven't been doing them right. Okay. Equally, people therefore who've had some experience in modeling but want to improve their models, totally appropriate for you. If you have absolutely no finance knowledge whatsoever and no kind of direct applicability, this probably isn't the program for you. Okay, there's other things that can help you there at a more basic level, but this is for people who understand some financial concepts. If you've taken CFA level 1 already, fantastic. This is absolutely right. What we'll do on this course is it's broken up into 3-4 hour long sessions, and we find that that's pretty much the right kind of time for you to both immerse yourself but also have an opportunity then to practice some techniques later, and also kind of take a break, because it's really intensive, right? So the class isn't easy. I mean, you just had a quick sort of half-hour introduction here from Ian, but imagine doing that for 4 hours, right? It's tough. You'll be working hard in the course, and what you'll also find is that Ian, this is be a much smaller group of people who are learning in this course, and Ian will be calling upon you. It'll be very participative. It'll be interactive, right? This isn't where you're just kind of sitting back, kind of watching. It's not like just watching Ian perform. Okay, so you'll be very active and involved and working all the way through. So I think, really important for you to think about that. We will be putting on some more dates too. So if those dates don't work out for you, don't worry. There's bound to be some dates that will work for you. So a couple of questions that come, and we don't have scholarships available for this yet, but part of the reason for that, by the way, is that this is a pilot that we're doing. So actually you'd be the first people who would ever undertake a CFP Institute financial modeling training. So we want to see how this goes. So perfectly possible, but we might evolve this offering in the future. But right now, we're trying to see what's demand like. And I think another question that we had here, an excellent, my colleague Catherine has dropped into the chat exactly how you would kind of log in and find details on this course. And we'll be sending around recordings, so that's kind of simple enough. And I think, let's see, is there any other questions that I've missed? It's quite hard to follow some of these with the speed they come in.
It's coming through quickly.
Exactly, a little bit fast. Maybe just one kind of. So let's just address this. I think it is kind of important. If someone's taken, let's say, CFA level 1, so they understand the financial reporting pieces and analysis pieces from CFA level 1, what would you expect them to be able to achieve at the end of this course? Yeah.
Well, listen, I mean, financial modeling is a discipline that requires knowledge and skill. I am going to be teaching all the knowledge people need, and then to attain their skill, people need practice time. So I will be giving a little bit of practice time in class. The really nice thing about doing it over 3 days is there will be a little bit of homework every day to practice what you've done. And then you'll have ample opportunity on your own to keep practicing it, and you will become excellent. I will give you the full roadmap of what you need to do with a little bit of time to practice. And if you keep doing it, you will become exceptional. So what I would expect that people will have completed a financial model with some assistance during the course. And then I always encourage people to then do it on their own after to, to solidify and refine that knowledge, refine the experience and their familiarity with it.
Okay, excellent. So here's an interesting question. So it's kind of a question really about kind of connecting you talked about storytelling earlier. I think if I get this question right, I think they're asking about the kind of connection between the storytelling and kind of formal writing. So maybe including the model in a research report. So are you able to talk a little bit about the kind of the connection between the written word and the model?
So it's actually very, very interesting. I got to tell you, listen, if you happen to work in research, if you happen to do, in a role where you have to write it up, then yeah, you might want a corresponding, but you know what? A beautiful model basically puts the words in your mouth and it allows you, it tells you what to write. Let me tell you what let's go back and look at it for just one more minute. If you know, one of the things we cover in the course is model flow, optimal flow, and flow has to do with the way people think. A cover page creates a lot of confidence that this is a presentation. Why do we have an executive summary? Because I promise you, I've built over 100 different models in my life. I promise you the first thing your client will always want to know is, what's the answer? Whatever it is that you're modeling, they want to know what's the answer. Is it a credit ratio? Is it an NPV? Is it an IRR? Is it valuation? Whatever the answer is that you're trying to solve, they want to know it up front. So you got the answer. So because I've built this model with an executive summary, the words should come with you, whether you're presenting it verbally or you're writing it up. The messaging is going to come from the flow of the model. And then I promise you, the next thing that a client always wants to know, whenever you show the client the executive summary and they see your values or whatever the answer is, I promise you the next thing they always want to know is, how did you get there, right, Richard? How did you get those answers? What decisions did you make? And I can say, beautiful, turn the page. Turn the page of the model. This is a presentation tool, and I will walk you through step by step exactly what I assumed for income taxes, for equity assumptions, for my cost assumptions. So whether you're communicating off the model verbally or on paper, the flow sets the stage for how this model will communicate and how it will allow by the way, when I say a model has to be a good communication tool, it needs to be able to communicate even if you're not there. Even if your client reads it by themselves, and by designing it this way, they'll be able to do that. So that's the point. So if you've built the model, if I ever need a write-up, I do it at the very, very, very end. I build the model, I get it perfect, I get the model the way I want so that I could present it. And then if someone wants a write-up, I'll do that, at the end. And it literally follows the flow that I have put into the design. You may find you don't need a lot of write-up if you've built the model in this way. Anyway, I hope that helps. Great question, by the way. Yeah.
Super helpful. Well, look, we're at time now, and this actually webinar will shut off on the hour. So I just want to say thanks so much, Ian. Fantastic, really, really helpful. We're all really looking forward to the actual training course itself. If this is what you were able to share in just a few minutes, I can only imagine how much you'll share in over a 12-hour period. So really grateful for this. And those of you who participated, if you do want to sign up, then Catherine put the details in the chat. And there'll be more offerings along these lines coming in the future. And even if you don't want to sign up, please, I really do encourage you to invest in yourself and practice and learn more about these modeling skills, because it's absolutely critical. You may not even work in investments or corporate finance yet, but frankly, in virtually every role in business and industry right now, the skills that Ian's talking about are critical to your persuasiveness. So thanks, everyone. Thanks so much. And thanks especially to you, Ian.
Thank you very much.